you imagine life after death? How do you imagine heaven or hell or purgatory? Yeah, we come to the end of our liturgical year. We've got 2 more Sundays left. Next Sunday, and then the great solemnity of Christ the King. And as we come to the end of the liturgical year, the church always encourages us to think about what we call the last things. The fact that we're all going to face death and judgment, and that we all are going to end up in heaven or hell. Purgatory is a place that prepares us for heaven. You know, as the seasons, as nature begins to shut down for a few months, the church kind of reflects on the temporary nature of all things and on our own mortality. We are pilgrims who are on our way, and our destination is heaven. We come from heaven. The first reading we had from the second book of Maccabees is a masterpiece. It's fascinating, and it kind of in a way lays the ground for all the future martyrs of the church. One of the sons looks at his torturers and says, "You're depriving us of this present life, but the King of the world will raise us up to live forever. It is for his laws that we are dying." They would rather die than transgress any of God's laws. The other son says, "It was from heaven," when they threatened to cut off his hands, he says, "It is from heaven that I received these." Everything we have comes from heaven, comes from God. All that is good comes from God. He says, "For the sake of his laws, I disdain them. From him I hope to receive them again." This reading is tied to this gospel that we have, that where Jesus is in this controversy with the Sadducees. See, the Sadducees did not believe in life after death. They did not think there was a resurrection. They didn't find that teaching in the Torah. The Torah is the first 5 books of the Bible. So they rejected an afterlife. They were a religious, political sect within Judaism, the Sadducees. They kind of ruled Jerusalem politically. And so Jesus says to them, basically, you don't have any idea what you're talking about. He says, the children of this age, right now, we marry and we remarry when our spouse dies. But those who are deemed worthy, this is a really important little tiny phrase that Jesus throws out at us today. Those who are deemed worthy to obtain to the coming age and to the resurrection of the dead, neither marry nor are given in marriage. They can no longer die, for they are like angels. Now, Jesus is not teaching us that we become angels, because that's not what the church teaches, it's not what we believe. Angels are disembodied spirits. They're spirits that were created by God. We have bodies. We're body and soul. In a way, they say we're ensouled bodies. Our body and soul is, in a way, inseparable. That's why we believe in the resurrection of the body. We believe in a bodily afterlife. That's why when Jesus rose from the dead, he could walk through walls. He could appear suddenly out of nowhere. But what did he say? Here, touch my hands. Put your fingers into my side. He asked for something to eat. Jesus is trying to teach them about the afterlife and teach us. He says that the dead rise, even Moses made known, because again, he's talking to the Sadducees. They only believe in the first 5 books of the Bible, which they believe in their tradition were written by Moses. He says, when Moses talked about the passage about the book, when he called out, Lord, and God revealed himself as the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. So Jesus says, so he's not the God of the dead, but of the living. For to him all are alive. So Jesus wants us to understand that this world here is not the end. We are destined for eternal joy in heaven. We come from heaven. We're destined for heaven if we're deemed worthy. If we follow God's laws. If we submit ourselves to the lordship of Jesus Christ. If we are faithful. If we love the way that we are loved by God. Ultimately in heaven, all there's going to be is love. The reason there's no marriage in heaven is because every person loves each other as much as that unique spouse that God gave to you, the love that exists between the two of you. That person who most loved you, who you loved most perfectly, or as best as you could. That kind of love is going to permeate all of heaven. There is no selfishness or anger or bitterness in heaven. That's why we believe that there's a place called purgatory where any selfishness that remains has to be purged, purified. Because in heaven there's only perfect love. Today I want to talk to you as we wrap up this capital campaign we commenced about 6 weeks ago. Today's commitment weekend for our Generations of Generosity United in Faith capital campaign. Very grateful to report that we've received about $1.7 million in pledges and gifts from our parish families. I'm so grateful to those of you that have already made that commitment. We're well on our way to our goal to raise a minimum of $3.9 million. Hopefully you've been able to attend one of the receptions or maybe to watch one of the receptions we videotaped, or to at least to receive your packet and read and pray over the materials that were included in the packet. We're going to have to replace our flat roofs on our school, on our narthex, on our ministry center. We're going to finally, after many years of hoping and planning, we're going to construct the St. Joseph Activity Center. It's going to be built right off of the front of our current gymnasium. And then to support the Diocese of Memphis, their United in Faith campaign. Everyone's commitment is essential. So I hope you've had time to read and pray and reflect on the information that you've been given, that you know what we're doing, you understand why we're doing it at this time. So packets have been mailed out. If somehow you missed your packet, there are some packets in the narthex you can pick up. So we would like to know what your decision is today. So if you brought your pledge card with you, I ask you to take it out. If you've forgotten your pledge card, we've got them in the pews. They're in the little card slots, and so you can pick one up. And I ask you to do that now. If you're not near one of the card slots, somebody can pass you one. There are also pens that you can fill this out today. We're encouraging everybody to consider a minimum pledge of $5,000 or more. Not everybody can do that. For some people that would be impossible, but for many of us, we can do much more than that, 10,000, 25,000 or more. Be assured that gifts of all sizes are needed and wanted and greatly appreciated. So the gift that you give should reflect your gratitude for how God has blessed you and your family. We're leaving a legacy for future generations in appreciation for what we now enjoy. So our campaign is not based on everybody making the same gift. It's based on everybody making the same sacrifice. So you're asked to give over and above what you normally donate to the parish week by week. And to do that for a 3-year period. So, I ask you to take one of these pledge envelopes that are there in the pews. Ushers, I'd like you to please, we're going to collect these in just a moment. So, ushers, if y'all could, I'd like you to please be ready to collect these. Be sure to fill out your name, the amount of your pledge, if you want to make a down payment, what that would be, and then how you would like to be reminded of your pledge, whether it be monthly, quarterly, or annually. If you'd like to donate stock, you should check that box. If you want to contribute through automatic payment from your bank account or credit card, to indicate that on the pledge. So ushers, if you just hold on for just a moment. For bank or credit transfers, you need to complete the pledge online. You can just simply fold this over. If you want to seal it, you can do that. So we will allow a few minutes now for you to complete your pledge, and ushers, I'll indicate when we need to go through and collect these. We're going to take just a few moments. I